How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Pho is probably my all-time favorite food. What is pho? It's basically a beef broth with rice noodle and slices of meat in it. Now, almost all my life, I've been going out to eat this noodle, and every single time, it might range between $12 to $15 right now. If you want to eat this, I don't know, every other day, it might get very expensive. So because of this, I decided to make my own pho and try to fine-tune it so that it tastes the way I want it to. Something that would be just as good as the restaurant. And for me, I am a pretty picky eater. If my own food is not good, I would criticize it and say, you know, this is not so good here, not so good there. In fact, when I first started making this recipe, I realized I did not add enough beef for the given amount of water. I also felt like I did not add enough star anise. So now this recipe I'm gonna go over with you today is the most optimal recipe that I know of. And when I eat it, I can safely and realistically tell you that it's one of the best out there. So with that said, let me show you how it's done. The main kind of meat that you want, of course, is beef, but you don't exactly have to use oxtail over here. You can just as well use brisket. But for me, oxtail is the cheapest that I can get because this is actually $6 a pound over in Costco. If I try to buy brisket over here, it's gonna be roughly $12 to $13 a pound. So this is a cheaper way to go. I used to not buy tendon because it's so hard to cook. You have to cook it for many hours before it gets softened. So in this recipe, I'm actually gonna use an Instapot to quicken the way that this is gonna be done. One time when I made the pho, I only used oxtail and the beef tendon. You actually really need to add some kind of bone. Right here I have beef bone, about 2 to 3 pounds of it. You want some kind of meat that's attached to it and also some kind of bone, and all this will leach out into the soup and make it a lot tastier. I also have over here some ribeye that I bought previously, cut it up into rare slices, and this is where you would dip it into your soup and then cook it with the heat of the soup. So then whatever you eat, it's very tender. Every time you go to a pho restaurant, it seems like they have a whole plate of vegetables there, and it seems like a lot of work to gather everything. But it's actually not that bad. I bought a whole packet of jalapeno peppers here. I'm not gonna finish this. I'm probably only gonna be able to eat like 2 or 3. Even if I finish the whole pot of noodles. I got some limes over here, and I don't know what this is. Hung K? I'm supposed to buy basil, but this supermarket did not have any basil today, so this is a substitution. And also some green onion, and of course a real onion over here. I do 2 pots so I can heat extra water up. You'll see why. Boil both of these pots of water. Now we're gonna add 2 cinnamon sticks, 6 star anise pods, 10 cloves, a cardamom pod. For the cinnamon, I'll just toss into the soup. For this stuff, I'm going to stick it into this little baggie. Let's tie this up. Now we're done with our spices mix over here. I'm gonna cut off about 1 ounce of this. These will be used for the soup. I have over here the neck bone, product of USA, $3.50 a pound, 2.34 pounds. You can go between 2 and 3 pounds. But I picked this neck bone mainly because it has a little bit of meat on it, see? This meat will make the soup tasty, and adding the bone will add a bit of calcium and it'll taste good. But when you boil this, a lot of blood will come out. That's why we have to boil it twice. The first time that we boil it, we only do it until it begins boiling because we don't want to leach too much of the flavor out. We only want it to make it bleed. That's what they call it. I'm gonna put this aside for now. I also have over here the oxtail. Open this up first. So here they are, the oxtails. These tend to be a little bit too big for one meal, so you might want to like rip off the meat for one bowl, and then you have the other half for another bowl, I guess. Probably this size is probably the biggest you want to go with one bowl. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bowls, 5, 6, 7, 8 bowls over here. I also have the beef tendon. I'm gonna open this up and show you guys. This requires quite a bit of special processing, and I'll show you how to do this. You don't really have to do anything when you first boil it. Since I got this dirty, I'll go wash this. You'll notice it's about twice the volume of all my meat. You want enough volume that when you put in all the meat, it's not going to rapidly cool down all the water too fast, because you don't want the meat to sit in there for too long before it boils again. So I have the neck meat over here. It's boiling. Carefully put it in. Don't splash yourself. I'm gonna put in the oxtail. I'm also gonna put in the tendon. And then we want this to boil. Mix it a little bit. So this is not boiling yet. Let's wait a little longer. Looks like it's almost ready. Yep. Okay, so you see all this bubble over here? That's really good news. We want to look at some of the bones down there. Not the oxtail. You see the oxtail, it didn't bleed or anything. But we see a lot of bubble here. These are like the scum that you don't want to eat. It kind of makes the soup taste not good. I can personally taste it. If you don't skim off the scum, it won't taste as clean. And this is the whole reason for boiling it once like this. So I want to take a look at the bone. If you look at the bone, sometimes if it just started boiling, you can see like little spots of red. It's like bleeding, right? So then the blood comes out, and that's what you want. This is boiling water, so be very careful when you're moving bones around. Ow. Yeah, like that. Don't do that. So this actually looks decent. I think I can take it out now. I'm running a little bit of cold water. You see the soup, it's like kind of like greenish. Doesn't look very appetizing at all. I'm putting some of this back in here just to cool it down. Main purpose of this is to wash it. I know it's kind of weird that you're washing a piece of meat, but washing all the scum that could have been left on top of this meat. So this is all I'm doing, just washing it. Because the soup that was in there wasn't very clean, right? So we're just kind of washing whatever that's left over. So you look at this washed liquid, right? It's like dirty. So now I got all this meat that is boiled, slightly boiled. In Cantonese, they call it chut soi. It means come out water. It means all the bones over here, the little blood things comes out. You can see some of it came out already. You don't want that to go into your soup. So you see why I have a second pot of water now. So I can pour all that dirty water out and I can cook another pot right away. So I'm gonna put all the meat in here. Again, carefully put it in there. So I have over here a Viet Hong fish sauce. This is one of the best fish sauce. I've tried many other kinds. If you use a different kind, a cheaper kind, it won't taste as good. So be sure to use exactly this one with 3 crabs and all that. This is about $4 a bottle. So I just kind of do it by hand. Over here, it probably needs about 8 splashes. I just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, okay, that's about it. How much is that? I don't know. I just kind of do it until it's about right. 2 pieces of cinnamon, and also the spice packet, and also a ginger, and also the onion. I just cut off the ends over here and peel it. Just stick the whole onion in there carefully. What happens next is more scum is gonna come up. See, I already see some scum right here. So scoop that out. I'm gonna put it in the bowl over here. So in my experience, when you put in oxtail only, not as much scum comes out. There needs to be some sort of exposed bone, like the neck bone that I put in. So because of that, it's probably gonna emit this scum on the surface for the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. So basically you have to stand here and scoop something off every 5 minutes or so, and you have to keep on doing this, and this is part of the laborious process to make a really good soup and a really clear, really clean tasting soup. If you don't have neck bone in there, you know, you only need to scoop it for about 10 minutes or so. But because we're trying to make it more tasty, I have some scum over here, and you just kind of use a spoon like this and wrap around the edges and scoop them up. Once in a while, just go in there and kind of agitate things a bit, scoop things around so it's kind of evened out. At this point, I have considered the soup started. The meat is cooking, so now I would set the timer for about 1.5 hours or so. This is how long it needs to cook before the oxtail is done. And notice I don't have the lid on here. This is very important because if you do have the lid on there, the scum, it doesn't come up as easily. So it needs to be an open surface boil, a quick boil. This is not quick enough, so I'm gonna bring it back up to 8. Because I don't have the ventilator on, it might collect condense, right? And then it'll drip back into your pot. So you gotta also watch out for that and just kind of wipe those away so, you know, dirty stuff doesn't fall back into your pot. But if you're not recording a video and you don't need it to be more quiet, you can have the ventilator on, and so you won't have condensation dripping back down. You don't want that. At this point, it's a good point to go and start cutting up your vegetables. So let's do that. Green onion. I'm gonna wash this first, all right? For the lime, don't cut them in perfect eighths. Cut a wedge out like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want with the middle one, like that. So I put it in this little container. The pepper. Be careful and don't touch the seeds on this thing. You probably only need 2 or 3 pieces per bowl. Whatever this is, Hong Kei. It looks similar to basil, so I am hoping that it would taste a little like basil. Let me try this. It's a little bit more fragranty. It tastes more minty, but it's okay. At least I have some kind of leaf in there. I'm gonna wash some of this. All right, washed. And I'm gonna have half an onion. So slice this as thin as you can, because this onion's a little bit different, because you want to put this in raw on top of your soup and then let the soup cook this slightly. I don't have to cut that much, just enough for a few bowls. Put this over here aside, and our garnish is ready. And it looks really pretty with all of this stuff over here. It's been about 12 minutes. And I don't see a lot of scum come out, which is okay. Now this still needs about 1 hour and 15 minutes to cook. You see, I only actively cook for about half an hour. The rest of the time, you're just letting it boil. So now I'm just gonna go relax somewhere for a little while and then come back in about 1 hour or so. It's been about 1 hour. I added about 1.5 liters of water to this because it boiled off. Now I'm skimming off a little bit of the scum. So you see, some of it does surface after a while, and this is what it looks like. Looks not very appetizing, right? While that is happening, I'm going to slice up some ribeye. The thing with ribeye is, I have some over here, is that when you go to pho places, they don't put ribeye on it. They put like a pretty cheap cut of meat, and usually whenever I go to some places that says they put filet mignon, I can't even tell if it's really filet mignon or not. But I do know this is definitely ribeye because I saw it before I cut it into a piece like this. So in order to cut this into slices, it's actually really hard to do it with just your knife and do it at a consistent thickness. So what I have for this is actually a meat slicer over here. Yes, I do own a meat slicer. And I'm gonna slice some of it for you so you can see. This, by the way, I got many years ago. It's called a Chef Choice 610 if you guys are interested. Down in the video description below. Now this happens to be half defrost, but if it's really rock hard in the freezer, defrost it halfway, and when it asks you for a weight, put half the weight of this thing because you still want it slightly hard. It tends to cut better in this meat slicer. I set it to about 1 3/4, 1.5 or so. You put the meat in, put gentle pressure on this. Don't push it too hard because this will bend a little bit. So you just turn it on. Now this is probably enough for 1 bowl. I'm gonna put the rest on another plate. From that, I got 4 plates of it. I need to do it one more time because this thing, it's going to make probably 8 bowls. It's 1.5 hours later, so now I'm gonna transfer all of the meat and boil the tendons a little bit longer in the Instapot. Instapot over here. Turn this thing off. Transfer. I'm just taking out the oxtail. Alright, I'm going to do meat stew. Just let it go for 1 hour. I don't think it's gonna get done until 9, so I'm gonna have a little snack. I'm gonna eat oxtail first. 1.5 hours. If you cook it for a little bit longer, the meat falls off the bone, and I think if the meat falls off the bone, it's a little bit too done because you want it to be just done enough where you can bite it off of the bone and it'll have a little bit of texture rather than just kind of mushy, right? And you notice I added the fish sauce. The fish sauce is basically salt, and you need salt to boil with the meat in order to get the meat to be tasty enough after you're done boiling them. See, you want it done enough that you can bite off the cartilage over here. So hour and a half later, these oxtails are done and you're ready to eat them, just like this. So good, so good. It's been 1 hour. Oh, I'm in a hurry. I'm gonna let the air out. I'm gonna say this is about half. We want half of a half, about that much. I can open it up. Ooh. This tendon is definitely done. Since I want to eat it right now, I'm gonna cut a little bit off, but what you should do is stick this in the fridge, cool it, and then you can slice them very nicely into about 3/8 inch thick or so. You check out all the bones inside. Yeah, you can even eat some of that too. That looks delicious. The bones probably got a little bit smaller and it went into the soup. So this is a really good thing. Let me try this. Oh yeah. This is like, you put so many ingredients in here, no restaurant will ever put so much good food in there for you. Okay, I got the water boiling here. Put the noodles in. Only need about 20 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna go drain this out. Green onion, just a little bit of regular onion, an oxtail, beef neck bone, meat over here. I have the tendon. I'll just cut some of that and put it in. So I'm gonna scoop some of this soup, put it in here. 2 scoops, 3 scoops, 4 scoops, 4.5. Okay, that's good. And I got my beef all ready to go over here. So it's actually really tasty. The first thing I like to do with this thing is put in the ribeye because the water is hot enough, the soup is hot enough, and I can cook it right away. If you don't do it right away, then later on your meat is not gonna cook. So I wave it around and you can see that it changed colors a little bit and you can eat it safely. Let me try some of the noodles and the soup. I think I need a little bit more soup. Let me give you guys a close-up of this thing. Look at that. The ribeye I cut for myself. The oxtail. Put it in some of this hot soup. Cook it a little bit. I'm gonna try some of the tendon. It's like you get 2 shots of it. For first shot, you just eat the whole thing. And then if you have enough tendon in your pho bowl, then you can go for a second shot. My portion of noodles is a little too high here, so I couldn't put in enough soup. Actually, my soup is getting cold, so I'm gonna try to put in all my ribeye over here first. Hopefully they'll cook if I leave them in there for a little while. So I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot of effort, and it took me a lot of effort to make this video. But in the sense that if you're making 8 bowls of it for 8 people, it might actually be worth it. If I divide up all the work into 8 separate instances, it might only take maybe like 10 minutes each time. So definitely you want to make a lot of it because it's gonna take roughly the same amount of work. The onion should be cooked. Eat a little bit of jalapeno to heat things up a little bit. It is spicy. I'm gonna try that beef neck bone that was in the pressure cooker for an hour. Wow, I didn't expect I can eat the beef neck bone, but the meat that came out of it, pretty good. Tastes like the meat that came out of ribs, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed this pho recipe noodles. You can definitely fine tune this and make it really, really good. It's already really good. I personally like it a lot, and I hope you guys are gonna make it at home, try it at home. Try to make this and let me know what you think of it. Leave a comment down in the video description below. Maybe after you make it, come back to this video and let me know how it turns out. Don't forget to give me a like on this video, push that subscribe button, and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching. Usually they try to upsell you on oxtail pho. I went to a few of them where they say, oh,
Normal pho is like $10, but oxtail pho is $20. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a place where they serve ribeye in the bowl of pho. It's just too expensive. It's just, they're not gonna make any money on it. Even if they do, they're gonna have to sell it for like $20 and no one's gonna ever get it. That's it. I don't think I have any more to say. I'm just gonna eat this. See you guys later.